Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Hey,
How are you?
Scott.
Good morning, Catherine. Good
So,
morning.
everybody, this is kind of my pre-show for the day. As you know, we have Career Launch Live, Women in Business from 12 to 2 Eastern Time today. But I am so excited to welcome Scott Frieda with me.
Thank you.
He
Good
does.
morning.
He actually works with us now at Titan Management, but he also does a wonderful thing called choice therapy. And Scott, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about choice therapy real quick and tell people what that is.
Yeah, I created choice therapy. I had some problems with alcohol addiction. A lot of people know my wife died from it. I ended up getting cirrhosis. I was They were going to move me to hospice. I decided to go home, and I started working on a plan. And I had been developing it to help pattern break some of my addictive ways because I am addictive personality. So
Yep.
taking that energy and creating some building blocks that gave me control, even in the morning, throughout the afternoon, instead of just thinking about drinking all day long. I was able to move myself away from that with my choice therapy. So I think,
Right.
half the battle is not drinking, the other half is trying to get it off your mind. And the choice
100%.
therapy, yes, is a very integrated plan. A lot of it revolves around food and dedication in the kitchen, which we all love food. We all have a
Right.
kitchen. And that's something that we'll certainly share in the future.
I
So,
love, oh yeah, for sure. We're actually going to talk about that a lot tomorrow. So we're going
excellent.
to dive into that. So today we're going to talk, and you are kind of an expert on hiring too, because you're an entrepreneur. You built several businesses from the ground up. In fact, you were a client of mine at one point,
Right.
so we did that together. And you had an interesting question on your TikTok. And by the way, guys, if you follow Scott, it's Scott Frieda, SCOTTFREDA. Follow him on TikTok. His stuff is incredible.
Right
And
on.
he has a great following. And you had a really interesting question from one of your people about social media and background checks.
Yeah, they just had asked, came right out, and that's kind of what prompted this call. And why you're here, Catherine, to explain this as well is uh, tell me about social media and Facebook and how it is impacting people's employment careers
Right.
for the good and for bad. Because a lot of folks get pushed out without even an acknowledgement. And
Yes.
so that's something that we don't think about. But it really became crucial with my businesses, and I know it's something that you wanted to talk about today. So
100%. And actually, this is something I used to use even when I did staffing for you.
hmm
Is you go through the person's social media, and I used to do an exercise that when I was building out a large recruiting team of every new recruiter, I would sit them down and we would Google them, and we would go through all their social media, and it would always blow people's mind what we could see. They go, "Oh, I thought that was private. Oh, I thought you couldn't see that." We could see pictures of their kids, pictures of
hmm
their vacations, comments they have made. A lot
right,
of people don't realize all of that stuff is public. It is easy
right,
to find. So when you're on a feed on, let's say, USA Today, and you're griping about the story, or you're saying something nasty about a politician,
right.
please keep in mind people can see that.
Yeah, and we're totally an extension of our job, and
Mhm.
we put ourselves in that position. It's not like our employers obviously have the outlets to see what we're doing,
Right.
but the more they see what we're doing, the more we're on the radar. And I'll give you an example.
Yes.
People on TikTok, for example, or social media, they might work for Amazon, for example, and they might do a video, but they're representing Amazon. And I
Yes.
saw a video the other day where an Amazon employee was making fun of people whose packages were late because of the snowstorms in Texas, right?
What an
And
odd thing to make fun of, but
yeah,
okay.
well, he went out of his way to make an indirect joke where he just said, "Hey, look, your package is going to get there. If you need to, just cancel." Well, he didn't
Oh.
understand that he works for Amazon. A lot of people might cancel, and that's just one real-time example where you just have to be. That's not even really regarding background checks, but that's on
Well,
a real-time level, right?
but people get fired for these things, like you see
Exactly.
the people that they find, your company finds out that you've participated in some event, or that you said something on social media, and they get fired. And I see a lot of outrage about that. Well, it's my personal life, but no, like you said, you are always representing your company. Plus, what you have to remember is that in, right now, especially, there's a big movement to focus on integrity and
Right.
ethics. And so
Right.
if something you're doing is not reflecting your company's integrity and ethics and what they consider to be their values, they have every right to let you go. Not to
Right.
mention, at will employment is in pretty much every state. So they can let you go because they don't like the color of your shirt, frankly.
Right.
But
Right.
they
Well,
shouldn't, but they can.
well, yeah, and on a deeper level, we comment on these social media
Mhm.
platforms, Instagram, TikTok,
Yep.
Facebook, and Facebook and these platforms are getting a lot of political pressure, so they're cleaning up a lot of comments. And the best advice I can give people today is be nice, because people want your job, your employer wants you to be nice. You're typically nice at work, and you have to just be nice to people. You can argue with people, but you have to be nice. And if your
Yes.
employer sees you working through
Mhm.
conflict resolution in a positive way through these social media platforms, that's a plus for you. Anything different,
Absolutely.
that's not a plus.
Absolutely. And actually, to your point, I have actually seen a person in my life get a raise because of positive conflict resolution on
Absolutely.
social media, which I thought was incredible. So it's really amazing how this affects us. And in terms of background checks,
Hmm.
when they're combing through, and to your point, when people are combing through, what they're looking for is to get to know you. So if
Hmm.
everything they see is real negative and shady, that's not good. And even
Right.
with your profile pictures, let's talk about that, guys. So that's very public. Everyone knows that, right? When you search
Absolutely.
a person, you can see that.
Sure.
I understand. I live in a beach area. Okay. So I understand bathing suit pictures, things like that. But be
Hmm.
careful how they're positioned. And if you're job searching, I encourage you not to have a profile picture like that, because you don't want to be sexualized to your future employer. That's very uncomfortable for them. So go ahead and change it to something with you and your kid, or something where you're out volunteering. That's a
Hmm.
really good one. That's a great way to shed a positive light on yourself. Um,
Absolutely.
put one of those, the backgrounds or stickers or whatever they call them on the profiles,
Hmm.
that says what charities you're into, that you
Right.
support veterans, that you, I mean,
Right.
whatever it is. Like you said, Scott, it's about portraying yourself in a positive way.
Absolutely. And Catherine, what you're saying is kind of so simplistic, but so profound, because it's such an eye opener. Because, like, when we go on these social media platforms, we want to be expressive. And it seems like
Yeah.
we take more risk with that, with our pictures. And a
Yes.
picture is 1,000 words, right? I mean, just look at the
Yep.
picture.
Yep.
So start there and just manage your way through. And just before you post, take 5 seconds and breathe
Yeah.
and rethink what you're doing before you
I
make
mean,
every
you
post.
100%. Listen to
Hmm.
that, folks. Think before you
Yeah.
post. And
Yeah.
I mean, you even cleaned up, and your profiles weren't even that bad, but you even cleaned it up when you decided to get back into the workforce. And I cleaned mine up when I decided
Yeah.
to own a business. And
We're all
you,
vulnerable, even
yeah,
executives, even
everybody is.
high. You are, I am, we all are. So yes.
100%. So some tips. Let's give people some tips. So we kind of did the photo, the profile pictures. Now on
Right.
LinkedIn, it's a whole other thing. You need to really make yourself look as professional as possible. And people think,
And you
oh, I'm in
take
a
it very
suit.
serious, which is
I
smart on
do. Yeah,
LinkedIn. Yeah.
So when you, just because you're in a suit does not mean that you look professional. Okay, guys, the pose that you're in, the background,
Yes.
these things matter.
Yes.
I
Yes.
saw a guy, this is not a joke, and this was on a resume, but then was also on his LinkedIn, who was posing like that. And I'm going, that's so cute, but it doesn't
Yeah.
look overly professional. And I'm not saying you have to be completely straight laced and serious,
Yeah.
but portray yourself in a professional manner, in a way that would be well received. So what else we got?
Well, one thing,
Social media.
let me make a comment there. Uh, when people go in, the interviewer who is interviewing the person who's the
The candidate.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for that. Well, we tend to study the night before. I'm going to go in and try to get my job the next day, so I study.
Right.
And it's really difficult in that process because people have a really tough time opening up. Okay. And it's not just them, the employer puts pressure on us, and they ask
It's
questions.
true.
We want to be prepared for the questions they're going to ask that we don't know how to answer. And in
Yes.
that process, it's hard to really get to know people. But that's changing. There's a lot of tools and things, and that core competency is changing. But so we kind of go off to social media to try to invent ourselves in many ways. because we know our employer is going to see us, and that's why we're having a talk today to make sure we can help people with that routine and to express
100%.
themselves where they're not able to perfectly in the employment setting. So
100%. Yeah, because interviews are nerve-wracking. And that's something I always try to tell HR and recruiters is don't expect the candidate to be a professional interviewer. That's your job.
Right.
That's not their job. And on the social media, so you have the profile picture, make sure that any public posts are all shedding a good light. I highly recommend removing anything political or religious if you are especially political.
Right.
If you are if you're job seeking, even honestly, even a lot of employers won't like it if you're posting a lot of public political opinions. So be very, very careful with that.
Hey, Catherine, when you say that, I'm assuming you're also saying not just your opinion, but opinion within the political message.
Oh, right.
Both of those, right?
Okay. Yeah, just don't do it. Just nothing political that's public when you're job seeking or working at all, honestly. The other one is so if you are job seeking, if you are doing things, make sure that all pictures like that are off your social media, because while you think they're private, they can easily be found. So make sure to remove anything like that. Make sure that your grammar is correct, please, folks. That actually, I've seen that cost people jobs. Poor grammar on social media posts.
Yes. Yeah.
And using words like DIS instead of this. I understand, like, we all act silly and we talk different ways, but when a potential employer is looking you up, that is not attractive.
And let me say, absolutely. Let me say, when another reason a potential employer might be looking you up is when you're having these battles or communicating with people that are not effective for you or your employer, these people will turn you in. They'll send messages.
That too. Yes.
Okay, so just if you want to speak to that, people will turn you in. You won't even know that they sent a message to your employer.
Oh, yes. I have actually not only a message, I have very good friends and colleagues that on LinkedIn will tag your employer on the live stream so that they can see your nonsense. And I have actually know for a fact that certain people have been fired because they commented something racist, or they commented something that could be perceived as against women, or something like that. And they've lost their jobs because the person tagged their employer. And you have to understand that not only does that reflect poorly on you, but now your employer's tagged. So if somebody looks up your employer and looks at the activity on LinkedIn,
absolutely,
they will see that tag and that your employer is now linked to that behavior. So what you have to remember is that, especially on LinkedIn, but even with other platforms, you are always representing your job, whether you want to or not. So you need to act right, guys. Just be a decent human being. It's not that hard, right, Scott? Like, you don't always have to be professional, but be a decent human being.
Absolutely. And all these platforms have their own community guidelines, and they're lighting up. I mean, people are turning other people, and that's the most layman's way of saying it, is this and people get blocked on social media. They're losing their accounts. People with millions of accounts could be likened to somebody who is a EVP, executive vice president, who's out there kind of playing around, not representing himself, or his employer in a professional manner. At night, in the morning, it could be one little slip. Somebody turns you in, and your employer, I mean, I wouldn't put up with that, because think about it. I mean, that's 100%. Not good. So
it hurts your business. Yeah, it hurts your business. And especially if you're a smaller business, it really does. So I think, we kind of covered it, kind of ran the gamut here, but folks, you have to take social media and your presence on it seriously, especially for seeking employment, but also if you are employed. Just remember, you can always be tagged. Your employer can be tagged. It will come back to haunt you. Be careful.
This is a great message, Catherine. I mean, this is impactful for people.
Thank you.
People
you
really
recommended this topic today. I love it. Thank you so much
for joining. Thank you for having me on. You're
absolutely. Welcome. And we'll be.
Okay. Good luck, everybody. Thanks, Catherine.
So please connect with him on TikTok and on LinkedIn. Again, it's Scott Freda, Freda. And everybody have a wonderful day.
Can I say one thing?
Oh, yeah, please.
Go Titan Management USA. And by the way, Catherine right here, she's the owner and she's wonderful. Take care, y'all.
We froze. Yep, we froze.
Okay.
We froze. Now you're back. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say, Titan USA, Titan Management USA. This is Catherine, the owner. Are we still frozen? Looks like we're frozen. We'll catch up next time, Catherine. Take care, y'all.